Women are waking up to the reality of men, and a lot of women are referring to themselves as misandrous, and they're talking about decentering men. So I'm going to share something with you as someone who figured out this whole scam when I was 9 years old.
I've been married once, and I'm going to give marriage 1 star, and I will not recommend marriage to anybody. These are the comments that are on these videos, you guys. A lot of women that are married, currently married, or about to divorce, or divorced, they are just, saying women don't get married unless it's very, very important, unless you are benefiting something. They tell women that there is no happily ever after. They're saying that you will regret it, especially when you start having kids. That is even worse. Some will tell you you can get married but don't have children. These are the advice that are on this video. I saw this video of this woman actually saying that, see, they kind of sold marriage to women and make it look like it is only women that need marriage. But when you think about it, it is men that need the marriage. But the way the whole thing is, if you're not married as a woman at the age of 25 and above, you are classified as a failure. If you don't have children in your 30s, they've seen you as a useless woman or somebody that cannot procreate, or they just see you as you've expired. They see you as you have expired. Nobody would look at you if you're in your 30s. And these things are all lies, really. Women have always been sold this fantasy, this fairy tale, this Prince Charming, this everything. They make it look like as a woman. In fact, when you're a girl, they buy you a teddy bear, they buy you a little baby to take care of, and you're already romanticizing and fantasizing how you can have your own baby, how you want to like get married. They start teaching young girls on how to cook and clean. They just kind of give women responsibilities on what you just all you need to do is just take care of men, make sure you're satisfying man, whatever a man wants you do. Forget about what you think, forget about what you want, forget about everything. Even in religion, right? They kind of put men in front and women behind. Whatever the man says, it is, right? Even in marriage, you see people say, whatever your man say, it is. When your man walks into the room and you're talking, just shut up, right? Because he's your man, so he has to be the one to do the talking. Let me show you all this video from this creator, then we'll come back and discuss. But then, are you married? Have you been married before? Would you recommend marriage to younger girls that want to marry, or the ones that still want to marry? Would you advise women to marry? Are you married, or you're married, or you're not married? Let me just know. Would you recommend marriage for anybody? Let me know down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, while you watch these videos together, then we'll come back and talk about it.
Women are waking up to the reality of men, and a lot of women are referring to themselves as misandrous, and they're talking about decentering men. So I'm going to share something with you as someone who figured out this whole scam when I was 9 years old. And it wasn't because anyone around me taught me. I was not exposed to feminism at a young age. It was straight up just observation, logic, and intuition that I was just like, that marriage situation seems like a scam to me. And mind you, I was raised in an environment where I was primed specifically to become a very, very, very subservient and subjugated wife, okay? But I was 9 years old. My parents had the scared straight version of marriage. And I was like, nah, I'm good. That looks like too much compromise. That looks like women have to give away too much for what? That doesn't look like a lot of payback to me. So I simply did not really ever care about marriage or dating or anything like that, because I was like, I just don't see the benefit to it. I don't see what I would get out of this. Like, it seems pretty miserable. And I left myself open to the idea that my parents weren't the best example and that I could learn from other people's relationships. So I asked a lot of questions of widows, of women who had been divorced, of women in great relationships. And I always heard the same thing. A woman is fine on her own. You don't need a man. You don't need a man to be taken care of, telling you what to do. And even the happiest women would tell me, he's great, I love him, but I could have done this with my kid by myself. Even the happiest women told me things like that. So by the time I was in my early 20s, I already knew, like, okay, I figured this out at 9, but even watching people where I see that they're in a great relationship, they're telling me the same thing. These women are telling me the same thing. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. And don't get me wrong, like, I got involved with guys here and there, like situationships. I never really claimed anyone publicly or anything like that. But I was always aware in my head that I would get involved with people where I knew that it wasn't going to work out. And for a period of time, I thought that maybe there was something wrong with me, that I was doing that. And sure, that was like a sense of self-preservation, right? And I played out a lot of toxic conditioning and healed things because of those situations that I was in, without like publicly putting myself in a position to let a man humiliate me. But ultimately now, looking back at the age of 42, I'm glad that's the way that it played out, that I never got into some crazy long drawn out relationship, got pregnant, got married or anything like that. Because ultimately, what was I going to get? What was going to happen for me? What was going to happen for me? I wouldn't be in a good place if I had committed myself and given my life up to a man like that. So I don't regret it. But here's another thing. I don't hate men. I do not hate men. It is a waste of energy to hate men. And I know that that's a difficult thing to come to, because especially if you've experienced a lot of trauma from men, if you've experienced betrayal, if you have, a father who wasn't really the best for you, or men in your family who just were not the best for you. I know it's difficult not to hate them. But here's the thing. That energy is best expended on yourself. So the goal is not to become a misandrist, to hate them, to want to get back at them. The goal is to become so detached that you could do with or without them. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to feel anything. It doesn't mean that you're never going to love someone. It doesn't mean that you're never going to care for someone. It just means that if push comes to shove, you can live without them because you're whole on your own. And you love yourself so much and you enjoy your own company so much that you can have someone enter your life and exit, or not have anyone enter your life at all. So I just want you to consider that. And you might have to go through a process of anger and of sadness and that kind of thing and grieving. But ultimately, the goal is detachment, not apathy, not resentment or anything like that. Just take it or leave it. It isn't what I thought it was going to be. We were fed all of these delusions about, fairy tales and all of this stuff about being a wife and being a mother. And realistically speaking, if we were to view ourselves more like animals, we would have a better perspective of what a man is. That's the reality. And in fact, we would expect more of men, because have you seen what birds do when they're courting a mate? Is that man doing anything close to that for you? I wasn't going to dive into this, but I'm going to do it because a lot of you have asked me about it. Okay, so this commenter said, I haven't heard that piece of it on social media that the men themselves know they're virtually useless to women, but will still gaslight women into thinking men marriage is a prize on a societal level. All right, so there are a lot of moving parts to this. So I'm going to share with you the connections I've made, the things I've observed, the things I've learned from others, but just in general, the way that my brain connects things, mainly from learning through osmosis, learning through observing other people and what other people have learned, and also by listening to what people don't say and the things that people are saying that are projections, all right? And a lot of this is going to sound familiar to you, so listen up. The government needs to control men that are not actually good mates. You have to think of human beings as animals. Animals are very logical about mates. They want the mate that is going to be the best to procreate. They're not thinking about love, all right? So the government understands this as well, that there are a lot of men out there that are just not good mates. They're not going to be good husbands. They're not going to create healthy families. But they need these men because these men serve a purpose in controlling the population, and especially in keeping women out of positions of leadership, keeping women from overthrowing the government and creating a world that is actually good for everyone. Because yes, women can be terrible too, but for the most part, women will do at least what's best for children. Most women will. Yeah. And women are held to a higher standard. Women are scrutinized more. So it's more likely that women are going to do the right thing by humanity. These men in power don't want that. Now, in addition to that, they need to control these men that are not good mates, because if those men are not subdued in some way with vices, with someone that they can lord over, someone that they can exert tyrannical power over, they're going to turn on the government and they're going to overthrow the government, and the government can't have that. That's why we have things like school pew-pewings, okay? Because a lot of these men, they're getting that energy out through this, and the government is allowing it, and that's why they don't do anything about it. Another way they control these men, and there's a creator on this app, I'll tag her if I can find her account. She talks about how this works in Russian society, okay? There's another thing they use is marriage, because they make these men the responsibility of these women. They make these men's vices, these men's problems into the responsibility of these women. And the cycle just continues over and over and over again with women who don't break the cycle, and then they end up raising similar men. And then what ends up happening is that you get to a point like we are now in society where women are waking up from this, and there's a lot of pushback, and you have to demonize women that are pushing back against it because it's threatening the status quo. That's why we have so many things that are going on in the political spectrum right now, okay? And we have to have our eyes open to it, so that we can avoid the pitfalls of falling backwards in society, because the powers that be need things to remain the way that they are. So religion is a tool. Religion tells women, you're damaged goods if you're not pure, if you don't stick to one man, if you don't remain married to this man, no matter what he does to you. You're sanctified in the eyes of God if you allow this man to dog you out and you stay with him. You're going to get your reward in the afterlife, okay? So there's a lot of shame used. You're loose, you're a bad woman, you're this, you're that, and the other, right? And then men add to this by showing you how they feel about themselves. They shame women for sleeping with them, right? I got you. You slept with me. That's embarrassing. And they don't even realize what they're saying. Like, why would a woman sleeping with you be embarrassing unless you're an embarrassment? Why would the fact that, for example, like this rapper that is getting divorced right now, Cardi B, and her husband, and how he pretty much said like he got her because he got her pregnant. And it's like you're shaming her because she had your kids, which means that you're an embarrassment. That's what you're saying. It's a projection. It's an admission, right? You're trying to shame her. You're trying to take your shame and place it on her because you know that you are not a good mate, that you are not husband material. And she fell for it. And so you're now using it to humiliate her. So men project, right? And they project in other ways. Think about things like when men call women the ball and chain. Who is really the ball and chain? Are women really the ball and chain? Really think about that. Who's the ball and chain? Men's life expectancy increases when they get married and women's reduces when they get married. So who's really the ball and chain? And then terminology like, oh, why would I buy the cow if the milk is free, right? When they talk about how women were, when women's liberation happened and women are having sex with men and before marriage and things like that, and they want to shame women into submission. And so they say things like, why would I buy the cow if the milk is free? But men are the ones with the milk and they hand it out for free. They even force it on people. There's nothing freer than a man's milk, but you're talking about women handing out milk for free? And then they say that they're the ones who control, whether or not women get to get married, and women are so desperate to get married and this and the other. That is also a projection because men benefit from marriage far more than women. In fact, men have even talked about how they can't get promotions at work if they're not married because they're not considered reliable employees if they don't have responsibilities.
Yeah.
Whereas with women, not being married is more of a benefit in your career, okay? Then there's things like men calling women damaged goods by the time they hit 25. I've heard men say that they never considered that they were ever going to be alive past the age of 25. A lot of men think that way. So they live their life all messy and reckless because they don't think they're going to see 25. And then they're shocked when they get to 25 and they're still alive after that. And they've destroyed their lives and they continue to destroy their lives. And then they get older and they're looking for a woman to be their nurse. So all of a sudden when they turn 40-something, 50-something and their health is falling apart, they finally discover that they do know what love is and they can be monogamous to a nurse because they need the health care. Those are the connections I've made about men. When men talk about you, the things they say about women, calling women liars, calling women deceitful, they're projections. And it's not to say that women are perfect and women don't make mistakes and women don't do bad things. But a lot of what men say are simply projections. And then there's things like men who pick women apart. And this is something that I observed a lot when I was growing up. Men who pick women apart. There's two things going on there, okay? One, either they are just like their moms and their moms hated themselves and they were constantly picking themselves apart, or they were constantly picking other women apart. They were very catty. And so their sons, because they adore their mothers, they become like their mothers and they do the same thing. Or they're gay and they haven't dealt with that. And so they pick women apart because they can't accept who they are. They can't accept who they are. And so they have to tear women down. A man who truly loves women, and there are men out there like that really like women. They see women as people. They love everything about women. Those men don't expect you to be perfect. They're not going to pick you apart. They're going to accept you with imperfections. They're just going to love you. All they're going to want to do is please you. They want you to tell them what to do. What do I do? Tell me what to do. What do you want me to do? Tell me something I need to do. Something I can do for you. Especially if it's something that is physical, that they can labor for you, that they can bring you something back. Like, we are animals. And a man who truly likes women, who loves women, he's going to want to do for you. And he's not going to pick you apart. And he's not going to expect you to be perfect. And the sad truth is that we have a society where a lot of these men, I think, are men whose lineages were really not supposed to continue. They weren't supposed to be here. And so what we're experiencing is an extinction burst of these men, where women have tapped in, whether they realize it or not, in a cognitive way, into their primal nature of, this is not a good mate. This is not good for my lineage. This is not good for society or for the world overall. And so we can't keep allowing this to continue for the greater good of society, because at the end of the day, no matter how bad a woman is or no matter how terrible women can be, there are always going to be women, for the most part, that are going to do what's best for society at large, because we are the ones who bring life into this world and we have a big responsibility in that. And I think intuitively and from a primal level, we understand that. Okay, that's it. I think I said everything I had to say.
So, would you advise a younger girls, if you're married or you're not married, to get married? I personally would not advise young girls my age to get married. I would not, because I just feel like you need to actually unlearn a lot of things before you can actually decide to marry, because of a lot of things that is already planted into our brain when we're young, growing up, how we see marriage, how we see living together as a family. All these things are not exactly what marriage is in this modern time, right? And the thing is, we women, we just enter because we love, we want that companionship, we want that friendship. We just want to start, we just want to do life with somebody together. I just want to do life with someone. Or some women actually marry because they want to have children, right? But these men do not marry because they want to do life with you. They do not marry because they love you. They do not marry because they actually marry because of what you're giving them, what they can benefit from you. How are you useful to them? Right? Most of the time, we women, we don't look at that. We look at the potential. What can this guy do later in the future? I feel like he's hardworking. Maybe later on, it can be somebody and this and that. Okay, is this? We look at potential. We don't actually look at what it is currently offering. You see a man that is treating you badly, a woman would definitely still marry the man because they feel like, oh, one day it's going to change. One day I feel like I can change him. We look at potential. We don't look at what it is offering at that moment. Even if he's not good at some things that you need as a person, we kind of like, oh, I'm going to teach him to do it. I'm going to, make sure he sees it this way. Most of the time, they do not see it at all, right? You still end up leaving them because of that same thing you thought you can overlook. These men actually marry for what you are giving them currently. If you're not useful to a man currently, it's not going to have anything to do with you. So it's not because he loves you. They like you, they might like you, they might love you, but that's not the major reason. Why it's with you or why they want to get married with you is because of what they are seeing with you, like what you're actually benefiting or what they are benefiting from you. That's exactly what or why they are marrying you. But the thing is that young women are not actually listening, because if you look at a lot of videos and women coming out to advise younger women not to go into marriage with that mindset, with that old mindset of, oh, I found my Prince Charming, he loves me so much, I'm gonna marry him, it's a dream, he's my dream man. If they are actually listening, I don't think that most of them will put that in comments, because you see some of the women that are not married, they comment section be like, oh, I'm gonna find my perfect man. I'm gonna marry right. I'm gonna marry the good ones or something. Or maybe you married the wrong ones. I'm gonna marry the good one. I'm gonna marry the right one. If they're actually listening, I don't think they will still be putting that kind of comments in those kind of videos, because this is not actually you marrying the right one or the wrong one, because where are the right one or where are the wrong ones? To be honest, the institute itself doesn't benefit women. So even you can even get advice for women that are happily married, that are having healthy relationship. The ones that have healthy relationship, they have a very good supportive partner. They have a very good partner that is just perfect for them. They will still tell you not to marry, or just wondering when you want to marry for benefits, or use your head, or don't have that mentality of, okay, this is how marriage is supposed to be, because it looks like we may already have that picture of how a perfect family is supposed to be, with the movies we watch, the cartoons, the happily ever after storybook and all of that, and the way they kind of tell us while we're growing up, so we kind of have that picture. So it's when you get inside, you realize that there is nothing like that, and it's just you have to learn new things and adjust to so many things. And just because the society itself doesn't actually is not smiling at women at the moment, right? As a man, you can do anything and get away with it most of the time, right? But if you're a woman, once you do it, everybody's condemning you, everybody's after you, everybody's like, why would you do something like that as a woman? But when a man does it, it's a normal thing. Men are not, men are this, men are that. But once a woman do the same thing, everybody's like, why would a woman? I cannot believe a woman can do this. I cannot. Why should a woman do this? Why would a woman even think of doing it? Society is already in favor with the men, and women, they're not in favor with you. Okay? So even society was not making it easy for you for the marriage to benefit you as a woman. And this is globally. This is not just a particular place. This is global, like everywhere. Every country, every culture, every religion, it doesn't favor women. Like some religions, you can marry, as a man, you can marry like 3 wives, 4 wives, but the woman cannot. Why? And they tell you they can love 3 wives, 4 wives, but the woman can only love one man. Like how? Why? Why? Because even in religion, it doesn't favor you as the woman. In cultures as well, it doesn't favor you as a woman. Society, everywhere, it doesn't favor you. So it's everywhere. It's not just a particular sport, it is everywhere. So if we're talking about the institute of marriage, it is everywhere. So I personally will not advise people to get married. If I'm going to advise to get married, I'll tell you to marry for benefits, and I will let you advise you like already you have to unlearn the things that you know think you know and learn something new. Until you do that, if you've not done that, I just feel like at the end of the day you're still going to keep saying the same thing everybody is saying. And I feel like if women, keep saying the truth and come online to talk about the truth, the real deep truth of marriage and also motherhood, a lot of women will still learn eventually, even if majority of them don't want to listen or learn. So I feel like in this life here, people like to experience things by themselves. So when you tell them don't do this, and they're like, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. If it's really that bad, you're not going to be in there, or this person's not still going to be in there, and they get in there, then they'll be like, oh, I should have listened to you. So I feel like people just want to experience things, and I don't know why, because the best person to tell you how something if something is good or bad are the people that are already in it. If you want to learn more about motherhood, if you want to learn more about having children, you should go and meet somebody that already have 8 children. Let them tell you how it is, how motherhood is, not somebody that is reading motherhood in books or something, somebody that is experiencing it at the moment. You do your research on people that are experiencing it at the moment. And if people are that inside it at the moment are telling you, to use your head, and you're like, your own's gonna be different, it is what it is, you guys. What's your take on this video? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Respectfully, Jagal Maya Davids, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.